Can you see it? Is it okay?
Yeah, we can see. Yes, thank you.
Yeah, and slides are changing. Yep, good. Yes, so every year when we grow apples, when we grow different varieties, every year we are facing different challenges. Some of cultivars produce too large fruits, some of cultivars bear very small fruits, and it depends on very many factors. It can be your soil, it can be climate, it can be your orchard management practice, how you prune it, how you fertilize trees, how you irrigate. But anyway, thinning is the main practice to achieve desirable fruit size. And tonight I will talk how we can regulate fruit size by thinning, and what impact on apple fruit size has number of fruits left on the tree, or what effect has thinning time. If there will be the different effect on fruit size if we thin earlier during the flowering time, or if we leave thinning after June drop. In my presentation, I would like to remind you what is necessary to do. Also, I would like to present results from our trials and describe some strategies for different cultivars. So, thinning is the most difficult, most important, but necessary practice. It should be done every year if you want to get our best results. The main goals of thinning is to get higher fruit quality in the current season, and also to achieve regular bearing of apple trees. And I would say that main factors which affect fruit size is crop load level and thinning time. Both of them, thinning time and crop load effect, have the same impact. They impact fruit size, they impact final yield, they impact return bloom. The same can be said also about crop load level, impact on fruit size, final yield, and return bloom. But we have also to know and to remember that always there is interaction of both these factors. If we thin early, at pink bud or full bloom, or even earlier artificial spur extinction, we can maintain much higher crop load level, and we can get higher yield, and still we can have good return bloom and next year yield. But what I am saying, it's also can be modified by cultivar genetics. We can differ three types of cultivars regarding bearing regularity. We have biennial bearing varieties like All-Star, Summered, Free, Eden, and others. We have more or less regular bearing varieties, which are either not high yielding like Rubinola or Gala, but they have more or less good yield every year. And we have intermediate type of cultivars, which is easier to maintain in regular fruiting mode. Regarding fruit size, cultivars can be split in two groups, like large fruited varieties and small fruited varieties. And for all these types, regarding bearing and regarding fruit size, we have to develop different crop load management strategies. And this is the main task. And what we have to do. So first thing, what I would like to talk, this is thinning time. Why thinning time is important for fruit size? Growing fruits has two main stages. It's cell division stage and cell expansion stages. Cell division stage begins right after pollination of the flower and lasts, depending on the cultivar, depending on climate and growing condition, around 1.5 months after flowering. This stage is very important for small fruited cultivars. And if we want to get bigger fruits, we have to do all our best to give the best supply of all nutrients and water to developing growing fruitlets and ensure the higher cell number. If we have higher cell number, it's usually leads to bigger final fruit size. Another stage, cell expansion and fruit size increases due to cell enlargement. We have already a fixed number of cells, and when they increases and fruit increases. And if we do thinning at this stage, usually it's after June drop, it has very low impact on fruit size. If we compare to when we thin earlier at this stage. At this stage, of course, if you want to reach better fruit size, optimal irrigation and fertilization can help. So, what thinning time is the most optimal for different varieties? It depends, and it can't vary between varieties. So during at early thinning stages like full bloom and at 8-12 millimeters fruitlet size stage, we have positive effect on fruit size and return bloom of all types of cultivars. If we go and thin later up to 20 millimeters fruitlet stage, we have still positive effect on fruit size and return bloom, but only of regular bearing and intermediate type of cultivars. And hand thinning after June drop, it has some effect on fruit size, but very little effect on return bloom of biennial bearing cultivars. But it have positive effect on variability of fruit size and fruit ripening within the tree. Here, I would like to present some results showing a thinning time effect on fruit size. The trial was done with cultivar Eden in 22 and 23. In all, we thin apples at full bloom at 8-12 millimeter stage and after June drop. And at all thinning times, we maintain in 22 approximately 35 fruits per tree. And in 23, because trees were grown, we maintained 50 fruits per tree. In both years, the reaction fruit size was decreasing when we thin later. In 22, it was not very favorable year to grow large fruits. Fruits were even in the lowest at the first thinning time, we reached only the highest fruit weight 180 grams, when in 23 we reached 22. But anyway, tendencies were the same. In 22, we didn't get any significant differences, but in favorable year for fruit growing, it was very clear differences. If we thin very early at full bloom, fruits reach 200 grams, then their weight drops significantly at later thinning stages. Very similar results we got in 23 with fruit fruits. We maintained 55 fruits per tree at all thinning times, and it was done during full bloom at 8-12 millimeters fruitless stage, and June drop, and we can see that the largest fruits we got if we thin very early, and fruit size decreases if we do thinning later. And also we can see that when we thin at full bloom, we have a rather even fruit size and more or less even maturation. But at later thinning stages, we have especially in the last after June drop, fruit size is variable. Big fruits, small fruits, greener fruits, and all more ready. And other fruit quality parameters, I will not talk about this. It will be presented by my colleagues. Also differ and depended on thinning time. Sorry. As I said, there are two factors, not only thinning time, but also crop load affects fruit quality. And if we thin to optimal level, if we leave fruits what can tree support, so we usually are getting more even fruit size. There is notice that we have less variation of fruit maturity within the tree. We have higher percentage of fruits harvested during the first peak, and we have better fruit quality. So here looks a tree which has optimal fruit load. It's a fruit tree, and last year when we were harvesting several times optimal crop load, and then at early thinning we harvested almost 100% in one peak. If we were keeping higher crop load and thin later, we during the first harvest time we picked around 50-60% of red fruits and even less of Eden fruits. And if we keep good optimal crop load, we are getting high quality fruits and also good return bloom the next year. And on contrary, if we keep too high crop level or we don't thin trees, of course we are getting high yield, but with lower fruit weight, with very big fruit size variation, and almost no yield during the next year, for the next year. And so here I also have two rather complicated graphs, or maybe not, how crop load effect what effect has crop load on average fruit weight. There are 2-year results of fruit variety and Eden. As I mentioned, year 22 is in orange line. We have smaller fruits. The year was not good for fruit growing, and in 23 we had both varieties much larger fruits. So we have 3 different crop load levels. We call low, optimal, high, and we do not thin in year 22, or we thin till 1 fruit per flower cluster in year 23. And what we get, the first year, there were no differences in fruit size between low and optimal, but if we go to we leave more fruits or we have a higher crop load, fruit size decreases dramatically for fruit, and especially low crop load, only 128, especially low fruit weight was if we do not thin. All fruits, I would say, were of class 2. In year next year, last year in year 23, we get already significant differences of fruit size at different crop load levels. So less fruits, much bigger fruits, and more fruits on the tree. It was about 70 fruits left. We got much smaller fruit sizes of fruit. But it was rather similar if we seen one fruit per flower cluster. For Eden variety in 22, we didn't get any big differences in all thinning levels, crop load levels, but it could be a reason that, as I told, this year was not very good for fruit growing. Next year is the same. We got like for fruit variety at low crop load levels, much bigger fruits, a little less at optimal, but not significant. But if we increase fruit number per tree, or we have higher crop load, we have much smaller fruits. There is a picture of Eden fruits. Crop load level was 25 fruits per tree at low, 35 at optimal crop load level, high, and no thin. And you can see differences, especially if you do not thin, you get very small fruits and very big variation in fruit sizes. And variation is already noticed at the high crop load level. In 23, pictures of fruits at different crop levels. You can see numbers, how many fruits were maintained on the tree. And yeah, there was not so big differences, as I told, between low crop level and optimal crop load level, but leaving more fruits or thinning to one fruit per cluster, we got smaller fruit and bigger variation, and even worse coloring of fruits. So, shortly summarizing my presentation, it's some simple advices how to achieve smaller fruit size if we are growing large fruited cultivars like fruit or aroma, I would say, because it's more or less a regular bearing cultivar. So we do these varieties like aroma, we can thin after cell division stage. It means June drop, it's okay, but we can keep a higher crop load level if we want to decrease to have smaller fruits and leave 2 fruits per cluster. If we have also large fruited varieties, but which has a biennial bearing pattern like fruit or Eden, we cannot thin after June drop. It should be very early thinning, flowering time or even earlier. And in this case, for these varieties, we can leave 2 fruits per cluster, but it's very important to maintain optimal crop load level. If we want to get good fruit quality in the current year and maintain regular bearing to get, if you want to get high yield next year. And if you grow small fruited cultivars, early thinning is very important, flowering time, and it should be more intensive thinning, leaving 1 fruit per cluster and larger distances between fruits or fruits only on every second or every third cluster. It depends on the variety. So this was a short introduction, and
thank you, Darius. Now I would open for questions, og hvis dere vil, så kan dere stille spørsmål på norsk, så kan jeg godt oversette, eller så kan dere stille spørsmål til Darius på engelsk. Da har vi en hånd oppe, det Ragnar, vær så god.
Yeah, there's no doubt that early thinning is the best, and you said the full flowering, but I think that's a very imprecise definition. Do you have when to thin in the open flower, when the king flower opens, or when the flower on the first year is flowering?
Yes,
And do you also have a program that can tell us, because we have 3 elements that is important for pollination? That is open flower, it's bees, insects, and it's ripened pollen. And also the 4th, the temperature. How many days do you need for the pollen to reach the down into the Yeah, thank you.
Yes, it's a really complicated question, but and we'll have after 1 month, Gabriela, we will have this more detailed discussions about thinning, chemical thinning. But during flowering time, yeah, it could be different strategies. If we have a large fruited variety, we can go on the first flower with ATS. And in this we expect to burn the king flower or king fruits, which usually develops in the bigger size fruits, and for small fruited varieties like Samaretto Gala, we can thin during full flowering when 70% of flowers are open. In this case, we kill secondary flowers. Of course, there is differences in flowering time between spurs, which opens earlier, and on axillary shoots, flowering usually is 2, 3, or even 5 days later. And another, you mentioned, there is temperature factor. There is every year it's a different story. So our recommendation, it's not only to use thinning at flowering time. I would suggest to start thinning or regulating fruit crop load already during pruning in dormant season. We can by 1/3 or even more to take out possible flowers and possible fruits which are too much for your tree. Then at pink bud stage, or just before flowering, there is very good practice to thin artificial bud thinning or artificial spur thinning. When we remove also, you can more or less adjust already crop load at this level. And then, flower thinning. And of course, I would suggest also to try more brave with Etaphon, with Etrel, and at the later stages, if the flower thinning was not very successful. But it's not possible to do to achieve our goals during one application of chemicals. It's in the practice it's almost impossible. So it should be combination of different spraying times and different as managements, and maybe we'll leave some hand thinning, but very little after June drop.
Thank you, Darius. Og som Darius sa, så har Darius et nytt foredrag 17. april sammen med Endre Bjortveit, der de skal gå gjennom det praktiske og teorien bak ulike tynningsmetoder. So, Darius, I have, since I'm not an apple grower and I don't know a lot about this, I was just wondering, you showed thinning praxis for 2 years from Eden and Fried, and then you said that the year 2022 was a bad fruit year. But does it also have a correlation with that the Eden and Fried trees were younger? They are still quite young. Is this something that you will experience every year there's a bad year, or is just this for young trees?
No, it's usually young trees have larger fruits. But not only Eden and Fried, but other varieties produced in 22 smaller fruits. That's climate conditions, environment conditions.
Good. Thank you. Okay, then we go over to the next. Da går vi over til neste foredragsholder, som også en engelsktalende person. Om 2 år så snakker Emily og Darius flytende norsk. Det skal jeg...
Men jeg skal starte på norsk og endre til.
Veldig bra, Emily.
Ja.
Da gir jeg ordet til deg.
Ja, takk. Ok, kan du se skjermen min?
Ja, vi ser den i presentasjonsmodus.
Perfekt. Ja, så i dag jeg skal snakke litt mer om avlingsnivå og variasjon i størrelse mellom frukt. Mellom avlingsnivå, men mer innan avlingsnivå. Så dette litt forsøk fra 2022 med aroma. Vi hadde 3 avlingsnivå. Lav eller 50 frukt per tre. Middels eller 100 frukt per tre. Det her. Og høy eller 150 frukt per tre. Og vi høstet alle frukt fra hver tre. Og tallet alle. Og sorteret inn til klasse N eller frukt at være for små eller for stor. Så hva vi ser med disse numre at frukt fra den lå avlingsnivå hadde mye mindre frukt enn fra middels eller høy avlingsnivå. Og det fordi det var ikke så mye frukt på per tre. Men med middels og høy avlingsnivå, det var ingen skillnad mellom de to. Så det hadde nesten samme nummerklasse enn frukt. Og det fordi med høy avlingsnivå, det var litt nedfall for høsting, og også frukt at var for små. Og ved fruktvekt og diameter, det var nesten ganske similært mellom middels og høy avlingsnivå, men frukt fra lav avlingsnivå var større. Og hva det betyr for avling og kilo per dekar at frukt fra lav avlingsnivå det var mye mindre frukt fra lav avlingsnivå enn fra middels eller høy, men det var ganske similært mellom middels og høy avlingsnivå. Så 100 frukt per tre eller 150 frukt per tre bedre for økonomien enn 50 frukt per tre, og det gir det 1000 kilo mer per dekar. Men det er ganske similært och ha 100 och 150 frukt per träd, men med 150 du må bruka mer resurser till att hösta mer frukt med ingen benefit. Så hvis vi ser lite mer på denna, dessa är 2 bilder från lågavlingsnivå och det ser att det är variation mellan enkelträd. Så bilder på träd på vänstra har mer stora frukt än bilder eller träd på högra. Så innan lågavlingsnivå det var stor variation i fruktstörelse. Och selvfølgelig det har en påverkan med kvalitet och olika frukt vid höstning och det betyder att det har olika frukt vid höstning och därefter lagring också. So then now I'll switch to English. But here is some data that we got at harvest for the 3 different crop load levels. And this is on the x-axis is IAD index from the DA meter, which is a measure of chlorophyll in the fruit. So a higher index or higher number means the fruit is less ripe than a lower number. And on the y-axis is fruit size or diameter. So what you can see here is, this is just the bigger picture mostly, is that the high and the medium crop load levels tends to have less variation and tends to be a tighter cluster, whereas the low crop load level has fruit that are or that are larger and have a lower IAD index and therefore lower maturity, but also fruit that have a high IAD index and are immature. So there's this big variation within the low crop load level fruit that isn't as present in the medium and high crop load. And then if we look at a similar graph with firmness, firmness is on the x-axis now and diameter is still on the y-axis. And here the difference between low at crop load level and the other 2 crop load levels is even more similar or more exaggerated. So the low crop load has more fruit in a range of firmnesses and still in a range of diameters, whereas the high and medium tend to be more clustered and more similar. And then if we look at this in terms of starch, this time the axes are switched. So the diameter is on the x-axis and starch is on the y-axis. But here, again, you really see the variation with the low crop load level compared to the other 2 crop load levels in both size and starch, right? So the low crop load has fruit that were at a 2 and fruit that were at a 10, whereas the high and medium have fruit at 5 to 10. So there's less variation there, which suggests that the fruit were more similar going into or at harvest, which then means they can maintain similarity within storage better than the low crop load fruit. And just to kind of relate this to storage and what this means in storage, because there's with this less variation and more similar fruit size as well, because there's in the low crop load, there's a lot of fruit that are too large, and that will have an impact on their storability. Whereas the high and medium tend to be more clustered to the same size fruit. And here is just a graph from the same fruit just after storage and 14 days of shelf life. And this compares diameter to firmness. And this is regardless of crop load level. And here there's a clear trend that larger fruit have lower firmness after storage. And that's in part due to lower, or being more mature at harvest, but also because the larger fruit tended to be the low crop load fruit, and they had more variation. So it's for quality at harvest and in storage, which Joran will talk more about the storage, but at harvest specifically, having less variation in fruit size is beneficial to quality, which means that you need to have a proper crop load and not too low of a crop load, but also not too high of a crop load to reduce this variation, right? So you don't have the fruit that are super large or the fruit that are super small. You just have the fruit in the middle. So that's kind of the takeaway from this. Oh yeah.
Thank you. Does Jorunn have something also, or this was?
Ja. Skal du ha spørsmål til Emily først, eller skal vi ta deg etterpå?
Det kan vi gjøre, Emily. Det noen spørsmål til Emily? Sin presentasjon? Darius har et spørsmål.
Yeah, I have a spørsmål. What age was aroma trees? Because when I made crop load trials at young trees of Rita Eden, it was much less variation in fruit size at low crop level.
Yeah, they were 10 years old, I think. They were definitely mature.
So maybe this is a reason of this higher variation. And did you look at place of where fruits start on spurs or on axillary shoots? Because when these axillary shoots or flower later, usually they produce smaller fruits. Did you look at that?
Not really. I just kind of thinned, like, I just counted the fruit. So no. But I will say that there was, it was a hilly field, and some of the trees, like one of the trees that I showed, I actually excluded from analyses because it was too dissimilar from all the other trees. So that can also have an impact, obviously, and is more obvious at lower crop loads, right, with less fruit that at higher crop loads.
Okay.
Ok. Ja, takk Emily. Veldig bra norsk presentasjon. Det liker vi. Vær så god, Jorunn. Din tur.
Takk. Da skal jeg prøve å summere litt dette som har vært sagt. Vi vel veldig enige nå om at størrelsen har noe å si for eple. Det har det jo ikke for alt da, men for eple så har det da. Ok, sånne oversikter så dette her, da ser det i fruktklienten. Og hva slags størrelse eple har, da påvirker jo hva slags pris de har. Og da kommer det til å bli snakket om på et av disse her seminarer rett over Porsche. Men det som jeg greier også at størrelsen på eple da påvirker også hvordan de holder seg når de kommer ut i butikkene. Disse siste året så har vi hatt forskjellige tiltak på fruktlager for å prøve å forsinke modningen på eple etter høsting. Og da har vi også sett på forskjellige størrelser. Og det helt tydelig at de oppfører seg ulikt. Her et døme. Det rød aroma. Jeg kommer bare til å snakke om rød aroma, og det, som det vel vet, så jo da den viktigste sorten av den. På den figuren her så det rød aroma i 2022. De var pakket i november, og så stod de 14 dager i butikkvilkår, altså det jo da romtemperatur, til 6. desember. Det ganske lenge, men jeg skal forklare etterpå hvorfor de stod så lenge. Og på figuren så viser det fysiologisk skade, råte og totalskade. på de epler som har fra de blå søylene, da, de 67,5 millimeter store, der var det ikke så veldig mye fysiologisk skade, men på de som 75 millimeter, så var det omtrent 9 ganger mer. Altså oppe i 25% av epler etter 14 dager hadde utviklet fysiologisk skade. Det ser også blete av de skadene som funnet der. De 2 øverste blete, det alderssammenbrott. Det sånn buklete brunt på utsiden, så det litt sånn diffust, kanskje mørkt mønster inni. Og de 2 neste blete, det blaut kjøleskade. Og inni på dem så det litt lysere brunfarge og ser litt annerledes ut. Det forstått ikke så nøye hva slags skade det Det skjer etter høsting, og det mer på de store eplene, helt tydelig. Det forsøket der, det var egentlig et forsøk med SmartFrukt. De fleste av dere har sikkert funnet med dere hva det for noe etter hvert, men det jo en måte å så utsette videre modning på epler. Og hvis vi ikke hadde fengt 2 størrelser der, så hadde vi kanskje fengt et helt annet resultat i det forsøket. For når du ser at når du deler det opp, og nå da de største til høyre og de minste til venstre, så det veldig mye mindre skade på de som små, og det liten forskjell mellom de som SmartFrukt behandlet, og de som ubehandlet. Men kom igjen på de som store, altså 75 millimeter, der det kjempestor forskjell, og nesten alle epler hadde fysiologisk, halvparten av epler hadde fysiologisk skade når de var ubehandlet. Det var ikke alle, det var halvparten. Det overdrev litt der nå for kjentfolk. Et annet døme, det her. Det litt større epler. De 75 millimeter eller 80 millimeter. Og figurene her, de viser SmartFrukt-behandlet og ubehandlet epler. De blå linjene de SmartFrukt-behandlet, og de røde de ubehandlet. De fastheite når de var tatt ut av kjøl og etter 14 dager på varme. Jeg har sett en strek på 5 kilo i fasthet, for det jo den grenseverdien som de opererer med når de meler eplet ut av kjøl, eller altså ved pakking. Det skal ikke være under 5. I dette tilfellet her så både de på 75 og de på 80 over 5, så det for så vidt greit. Men etter varme så det kun de som SmartFrukt behandlet som over 5 i fasthet. Og det som det også kan se, hvis jeg ser nøye etter, at linjene på figuren til venstre, de ligger høyere enn på den til høyre. Det fordi at de minste eplene fastere enn de største eplene. Og de største de var også mjukere og gulere i grunnfargen. Så både fysiologisk skade og kvaliteten annerledes på de store eplene i forhold til de små, eller litt mindre. Det ikke stor forskjell på 75 og 80 her da, bare sånn som det sagt. Her et annet døme, det også rød aroma i 2022, det et annet parti. Det var pakket i midten av november, og så var det lagret 14 dager i romtemperatur eller butikkvilkår til 1. desember. Og her også det de samme størrelsene, 67,5 de minste, og så det 75-80 millimeter de største. Og det en 4-5 ganger mer fysiologisk skade på de største. Dette her, da var et forsøk der vi testet ut lagring i kontrollert atmosfære. Da skal jeg også vise resultatet da. Så hvis en bare ser på de som sto på vanlig kjøl, så var det sånn som jeg viste nå, sant? Altså 4-5 ganger så mye skade på de store eplene i forhold til de små. Og ca. 40% av de store utviklet fysiologisk skade i løpet av 14 dager. Mens de som hadde leie på kontrollert atmosfære, altså på et sånt CR-lager eller ULO-lager, da var nivået mye lavere, men likevel så var det omtrent 2,5 ganger så mange epler som hadde fysiologisk skade etter 14 dager på de største i forhold til de minste. Det ser det jo en kjempeforskjell imellom da å ha de på kontrollert atmosfære før de kommer ut i butikkvilkår i forhold til det å bare ha de på kjøl. Dette jo en av de kjekke tingene som jeg har gjort nå de siste årene, sånn, sitt hvor godt det virker. Men det avhengig av hvilken størrelse vi har på frukter. Da kan en jo spørre hvorfor det forskjellig mellom store og små epler. Det jo fordi at store epler de har større celler kanskje, og da de svakere cellevegger, da vet de mindre faste. Ofte de mer modne, de har et høyere sukkerinnhold, det mindre syre att i de. De kan ha et lavere innhold av kalsium. Nivået mellom kalsium og nitrogen i eplet det veldig viktig for utvikling av de fysiologiske skadene, men det også viktig for råte. Nå har ikke jeg vist noe døme på det, men det sånn for råte også at de store epler de råtner lettere enn de små epler veldig ofte. Så i sum så det altså sånn at de store epler de svakere mot det som kan gå gale under lagring, kan en si. Altså de vet lettere mjuke, mjølende, smakløse, altså vi har ikke lyst til å ete de, og de får lettere fysiologisk skade, og de får lettere råte. Så da kan en jo selvsagt spørre hvordan skal en unngå at en har epler av feil størrelse. Det jo da med tynning, som Darius har snakket om. Eller en kan sortere epler enten ved høsting, det jo selvsagt moro, eller du kan gjøre forsortering på fruktlager, sånn som for eksempel telefrukt gjør med rubinstepp. Aroma vel kanskje ikke helt egnet til det, på grunn av at det tåler ikke så veldig mye håndtering, men da skal vi prøve å finne ut etter hvert, håper jeg. Ok, det var det jeg hadde tenkt å si.
Ja, det var veldig bra da. Dette var bare aroma. Kan du si om dette har sammenheng på andre sorter også? Altså generelt over? Har dere gjort noen forsøk på det?
Det har vi, men det klart at nå tok jeg aroma for at det den største sorten, og så det den vi har hatt i en viss tid i lagringsforsøk. Altså forskjellen mindre ved høsting, og etter en veldig kort lagring. Altså det når du tøyer dette, at du får disse forskjellene mer fram. Det var litt derfor vi ønsket å få fram dette i dag, for dette jo ikke sånn så de som leverer eple til fruktlager ser jo ikke dette her.
Nei.
Hva som skjer etter hvert.
Nei, nemlig. Så da det jo viktig at man kan få skille ut store og mellomstore epler, sånn at man får kort og lang lagring eventuelt, altså de omsatt de største eplene fort som mulig eventuelt. Det
egentlig det som burde var gjort her da, altså med aroma. At du fikk vekk de største og fineste eplene først, og fikk selv de med en gang, og så kan du heller ha de andre litt lenger. For de tåler det bedre.
Ja. Så bra. Det noen andre som har spørsmål til Jorunn? Nei, jeg ser ingen spørsmål. Veldig bra. Alt det dere prater om i dag henger jo sammen med alt annet innenfor dyrking. Og rett over påske, den 3. april, så skal vi snakke om hva dette her har å si for økonomien til fruktdyrkerne. Og selvfølgelig markedet, det norske eplemarkedet. Så da håper jeg at dere dukker opp igjen for å høre på Harald og Harald. Harald Alvavoll i Nordgrønt, og Harald Blåflott Mundal som SKP da i Gartnerhallsystemet. Og i tillegg så skal Torbjørn Haukås holde foredrag om økonomien i det hele. Disse her webinarer som sagt åpne for alle, så må gjerne videresende den invitasjonen dere allerede har fått per e-post. Da gir vi oss for i dag, og så takker jeg for deltakelsen og ønsker dere alle en god påske. Takk for deg.